Hi, I'm Greg Jones, and welcome to my instructional video. I call it my jet tour of guitar. I put together this video because I was thinking, how would you like to, as a guitar student, no matter what level you were at, like to have a video resource that gives you a roadmap of what it takes, of the path it takes to go from beginner to advanced guitarist, or even musician. And I got to thinking that really this can be captured in a video format, even with examples to make it more interesting, in a concise way, if I can get beyond having to explain every little detail and elaborate. So that's what this video is going to do. I'm going to give you big pictures. I'm going to mention points without explaining them. I'll call them sometimes Google points, like CAGED systems, for instance, or I'll say, learn your pentatonic scale all over the fretboard, and you might be like, well, what's the pentatonic scale, or what's that look like all over the fretboard? That's a Google point, meaning go out and do a Google, pull it up. This allows me to give you a brain dump in just a short series of videos, and that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to demonstrate it on the guitar to keep it interesting. And the idea with the Google points is you can write down the point when I mention something and you don't know what I'm talking about, it sounds Greek to you. You can look it up later, or you can pause the video, look it up, in that interim, and come back more educated, smarter, better, and keep going. I'm going to basically give you information that I've acquired over about 10 years of learning, and I've been playing for about 30 years. And I continue to apply these same thing, my learning as a guitarist for the entire 30 years is based on the content I'm going to give you in this jet tour that is going to just take a few, maybe about 40 minutes worth of videos, it looks like. So let's get started. I've talked too much already. I should also say that I'm going to teach you how to practice and make this stuff interesting. So stay tuned for that. There are really six points or topics that I think of when I think of advancing as a guitarist. And those topics, and really these are the 6 things to think of as advancing as a musician. And they would be chords, and then scales, intervals, and arpeggios, music theory, and technique. All right? I'm not going to talk about technique in this video or music theory. I might do some separate ones on that. I have a music theory site at www.gregjonesmusic.com that you can visit to learn music theory. But I am going to concentrate on those 4: chords, scales, intervals, and arpeggios. Scales, intervals, and arpeggios, those comprise lead guitar. And then, of course, chords is rhythm. So let's begin talking about chords. 5 foundational chords that you want to learn on the guitar. By the way, I'm not going to include in this jet tour video, this is a fret, and this is how you, finger a note, or, very, very basic beginner, rudimentary stuff. You need to get a private guitar teacher or take another video, find another video or resource for that. But anyhow, there are 5, starting on chords, there are 5 central chords on the guitar. Every chord is built from these 5, every one. So you want to know these chords like the back of your hand. They are in open position: C, A, G, E, and D. And they spell the word caged. How convenient. So you want to learn those chords like the back of your hand. I even went so far mentally, and you got to know some music theory for this, is I even learned that, for my C chord, that C note is the first scale degree of the chord. There's the 3rd note, and there's the 5th note, the 1st note, and the 3rd note. And then like for, like an A chord, it's 1, 5, 1, 3, and 5. Especially if you're a theory person and you get analytical, that'll help you because you can use those formulas to build other chords. But the point is just to really know those 5 chords. And that's really taking it deep to do that. Don't have to do that, but it really helps. Those are the 5 chords. Out of those chords, or those chords you can think of as shapes, okay? And out of these shapes, you can play every chord on the guitar fretboard. Everyone is built from one of those 5 shapes. That leads me to the next thing. Next thing you want to do with those 5 chord shapes is you want to be able to learn how to make them bar chords. If you've learned bar chords, or maybe you just learned a few, the most natural thing people do is they take the most common bar chord would be like an E-shaped or an A-shaped one. So here's an E major chord. I'll refinger it to free my index. Now that my index is free, closer so you can see, my index will cover whatever open strings would be at play here. Above the nut, which would be 6th string, 1st string, and 2nd string. And I'm just going to move this somewhere. I'm going to try the middle position just because it's the easiest place for a beginner. Around the 5th position. And there's an E-shaped chord. That's not an E chord. It doesn't sound like an E chord. It's an A chord. The lowest note is the root of the chord. That's an A. So it's called an A, or an E-shaped A major chord. This is what you want to do for all your open chords. So I'm not going to take you through them all, but here's an A-shaped, here's a D-shaped, moved up, and like a C-shaped. C-shape and G-shapes are harder to do, by the way, but learn them. They're valuable, even if you'll never play them, raw, because there's millions of chords derived from these shapes that you'll love. I do chords like these that you're hearing me do all the time, built from C shapes and G shapes, okay? So they're valuable shapes, even if you never find yourself playing a B chord like this, because it sounds better or easier to play a B chord like this. All right, the next thing we want to do is to learn the CAGED system. I got another video out on the CAGED system. The CAGED system just takes those shapes and connects them by spelling the word CAGED on the fretboard. With the C chord, it would be like this. Open C, connects to the A, connects to the G, connects to the B, connects to the D. I told you I'm going fast. If you need that slowed down, look it up. Look up my YouTube. Do a Google point, look this stuff up. Find the tab, okay? It's a picture. But that's the CAGED system. I just played a C chord all over the fretboard. I can do it with a G chord. I just start in the middle of the word. This G major, open G major chord is a G shape, which connects to an E shape, connects to a D shape, connects to a C shape, and an A shape, okay? And then back to a G shape again. It's a G chord all over the fretboard. Out of CAGED, that neat little simple system, if you're, there's 3 chords inside of CAGED that I call the trinity of this CAGED, and they are D, E, and A. They're also, you can think of those as the Drug Enforcement Agency or the lowest 3 strings on your guitar. Those shapes you'll get more mileage out of. They're the only shapes you can really make easy minor chords out of. So keep that in mind when you learn the CAGED system. They're the only 3 shapes you can really make suspensions out of very easily. You're just going to get more mileage out of those. Some chords won't yield as many shapes, especially when you get into more advanced chords, like say a 13th chord. I can do an E shape and I can do an A shape. Actually, that's an A shape. D shape is really kind of squirrely, and it's anyhow. And you can't really do a C or G shape. So that's the CAGED system. Learn that, and you're basically on the road to learning all the chords on the guitar. Now, when you see like a D chord in a song, you have 5 places for the D chord, and that's the only places you can play a D chord. So you know all your options. Or in A minor, you have 3, because you can only do D and E and A shapes for minor chords. So it's very valuable. The CAGED system, by the way, is my mental framework for visualizing reference points. Even for playing lead guitar, for scales, intervals, arpeggios. I visualize all those shapes happening around pictures that my mind projects onto the fretboard based on the CAGED system. Okay, so it's not limited to chords and rhythm. Next thing on chords I would say is you want to learn, basically we're learning the fretboard, by the way. Everything I'm showing you on these 4 items, chords, scales, intervals, and arpeggios, is learning the fretboard. The next thing you want to do is you want to learn your more complex chords. Start simple, get more complex, but suspended chords. So I'll take a D chord as an example. Open D. I can play a D sus2 like that. I can do a D sus4 like that. I'm just moving the 3rd note around. If I'm speaking Greek, Google point. Okay? Learn your suspended chords. D, E, and A shapes are going to yield the easiest suspensions but you can do that with a C shape, I know, for E, not too bad. Also want to learn there's two other chord triads, meaning 3-note chords, and those are augmented and diminished. I don't use these very much, but an augmented is a major chord with a sharp 5. There's a C augmented chord as an example. Just taking a C major and sharpen the 5, and there's 2/5 in this chord, so I'm trying to sharp both of them. Then you want to learn diminished chords. A diminished chord's a minor, is a C minor with a flat 5. So note on my 4th string gets like that, okay? After that, learn your 7ths. I'm not going to go through them all, but learn your dominant 7ths, your major 7ths, and your minor 7ths. Then get on to like 11th chords, like that's not an 11th chord, you know, and your dominants and your minors. I don't think there is a major 11th chord. I could be wrong. I have to look that up. Then you learn your 13ths. Okay, basically that's as far as you can take these things. Then learn your altered chords, like your 7 sharp 5 flat 9, 7 sharp 5 sharp 9, and you know, like a 7 with a flat 5 or a sharp 11. They're not all jazz. See, that's a really pretty color chord. So that's what you want to do on the guitar, and just be patient. Learn them all over the fretboard. What I did was I read a book called the Guitar Chord Encyclopedia, and every day I learned a new chord. And every day I learned a new chord, I would review all the other chords I had learned, do the process, and it took me about a month to learn every chord. And you don't have necessarily 5 places for every chord, because as the chords get more complex, you've got less shapes you can use. So you might have 2 or 3 places for some of the chords. Cool, okay? That's chords in a nutshell. The rest gets into music theory, which I'm not covering. Number system, learn it, man. That tells you how to use these chords. But I'm going to go on.